CNBC's Brian Schwartz reporting that corporations may be rethinking their political donations ahead of the Republican National Convention this summer in fear of being seen as taking one side or the other. Joining us right now is Jay Clayton, former SEC chairman and a CNBC contributor. It's nice to see you. I would say, in particular, that piece was referring to the idea that corporations didn't want to be giving money to the Republican National Committee in advance. It wasn't just that they were trying not to choose any side. It was a particular side I think that they were trying to avoid. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the article was very interesting because it said that activist groups were threatening companies that if they gave to the Republican National Convention, they would turn out and be negative vis-a-vis those companies. I think that's something that we're seeing more and more, which is groups are using companies' brands to promote their own agenda by taking a negative view of that, which companies have to be cognizant of.
Can I ask just a broader question? Wouldn't it be better if corporations stopped giving money at all, stopped all of the lobbying? I mean, would that be a better outcome or not? In
a what I would say is an idealistic world, yes. But here's what I say to I teach a lot, and that's something that's very active on campus. And I say, look at the resources that the federal government has to gather information. If you believe in the purest form of lobbying, which it is providing information to legislators to make informed decisions, our government does not have the resources to gather and analyze information. What we do have to make sure is that when they're getting that information, they're getting information from many perspectives and that it's rigorous. So eliminating all forms of lobbying would make worse decisions.
So let's take lobbying out. But what do you think about campaign donations, PACs and the like from corporations? Wouldn't it be better off for the credibility of everybody involved if we just said we're not doing it?
So who does finance campaigns then? If
individuals.
Individuals?
Individuals. If individuals want to donate, go with God. God bless them.
But we've capped individuals. We've restricted some individuals.
Right.
We have.
But otherwise, don't you think it just to the public, the perception, whether it's real or not, is that it's just a corrupt system, right?
You'd rather just teachers unions and other unions.
No. By the way, I'm not sure I would allow unions to do it either.
Oh, that's big of you.
No. It's not big of me.
Well,
I
would like corporations to make their voices heard about a lot of things, like the capital gains rate, like the corporate tax rate, like this, like that. You let the government go unhinged on what it would like to do in some high-minded, moralistic way. I want corporations to be able to bring them back to earth on what's good for the economy, what's good for free market.
But in the same way, you and I would agree, and I think you would agree.
Don't start like that.
Hold on.
Because we don't agree on anything.
We do. And I think Jay agrees with this.
All three of us agree?
All three of us are going to agree on the following.
Corporations are people,
We
too.
would prefer that folks in Congress and the administrations have no ownership of individual stocks in their name. And the reason I think we agree that that's a bad idea, generally speaking, is the perception is that then the system is either rigged or people are using information incorrectly and it's unfair. And that's a bad thing for society to believe that that's how all of this works. And I would put it in, and what I'm saying is that the donations I'm putting in the same category.
Not the same thing.
Not the same thing?
And I don't fully agree with you. I think,
don't.
No.
Okay. You don't have to.
I said you did.
I thought we all agreed.
Us, yeah.
You and I agree. We've talked about
Not
this before.
completely. I've never said that. I said I'd like some private sector experience with these people.
This is what I advised and tried to promote when I was chair of the SEC, which was very limited windows in which representatives, senators could trade. The idea that you can trade on a daily basis, on a quarterly basis, that's not necessary and appropriate to do the job. But you can't make people sell all of their stock, particularly private holdings, capital gains when they come in. And people should be able to invest for their retirement.
But when you see a congressman, and there was one who was part of writing the bill against TikTok, then buy shares of Meta 2 weeks later, by default, the American public says, what is going on
here? There's a very simple fix, which is January 1 to January 15. You can rebalance your portfolio, you can sell, you can realize, and then you have a hardship exemption if somebody, for some reason, needs. The fixes to this that aren't polar ends are really pretty easy.
Okay, let me pivot since I don't know where I'm going on this, the Republican National Convention issue with you. The second issue is there's a piece in the Journal this morning that talks about how the Biden administration is trying to enact as much as they can now that can't be undone if, in fact, the Trump administration were to win and come back. And there's an argument that effectively they saw Trump get into office last time and undo a lot of Obama-era laws as quickly as possible through executive actions and others, and they're trying to make these things permanent, given some of the plans that I think we're reading either from Heritage or from advisors and people close to the former president.
Mm-hmm. We have processes in place that if people respect them, they avoid that whipsawing. I mean, the whipsawing is really dangerous. You know, let me give you.
Say the whipsawing is dangerous. Was the whipsawing also dangerous under the Trump administration?
Look, I know the economic area.
Right.
There was no whipsawing. You know, we take Volcker, for example, very political law.
Right.
We tweaked Volcker. We fixed some of the things that in implementation proved not to be correct. But did we gut the idea of the Volcker rule? Absolutely not. You know, and I think that whipsawing is very dangerous. Let's look at energy policy. The Biden stated energy policy is to be restrictive on fossil fuels, yet we produce 1/3 more fossil fuel energy in America today than we did 7 or 8 years ago. It would be a real shame if they put in place a bunch of things that could be used to prevent us continuing to, what I say, follow the energy policy that we have in the Biden administration for political gain. That's something that I think is quite dangerous.
I'm just disturbed that they're even admitting the possibility that that could happen.
What do you mean?
They're doing things with the possibility Trump could get back in. That's that come to Jesus moment for those poor people. Oh, goodness. I mean, even for what? Tell me again. They're doing things now that in case Trump get. So yes. There really is a possibility that could have a convicted felon if that were to happen.
Apparently, that's what the polls suggest.
OMG. Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
folks,
I've seen
being sarcastic. If you don't.
Oh yeah, I'm being sarcastic. Please.
We're at home.
Right, there are people at home. They're going to tell me he's not convicted. Yeah, I know.
No, but one thing that does switch from not the regulations, but enforcement policy does switch, and that's something I think that everybody needs to be cautious about. You see a very active FTC. When I was chairing the commission, we were very active on behalf of retail investors. Those switching back and forth in enforcement policy, it's fine. It's part of what elections are about. But forecast it. Tell people what you're going to do. Be clear. Don't surprise them with the enforcement actions.
How many of the things, if former President Trump becomes the president, how many things do you think in the regulatory world change? Meaning, these lawsuits that the FTC and the DOJ have brought against Google, Apple, Amazon, go down the list. Mm-hmm. Do you think they disappear, or do you think they continue?
I think that there'll be a range of outcomes, depending on...
Meaning they get settled at...
They will all be evaluated as to whether you continue them in whole or in part, or you drop them.